Ever sung your baby to sleep with a tale of bloody revenge? No? Well, Viking parents did exactly that. These Norse moms and dads had a totally metal approach to bedtime stories, complete with murder, mayhem, and moral lessons. Let me paint you a wild picture of Viking bedtime. Instead of soft, gentle tunes about stars and sheep, Viking kids got treated to epic songs about warriors seeking vengeance, giants causing chaos, and heroes facing down monsters. These lullabies packed more action than a modern blockbuster movie. One popular tune told the story of Odin's eight-legged horse, Sleipnir, racing through the 9 worlds. Another featured Thor smashing frost giants with his hammer. Talk about intense dreams. But here's the crazy part. These violent verses actually helped Viking children feel safe. The message was clear. Sure, there are scary things out there, but our people are tough enough to handle them. Pretty clever parenting, if you ask me. You might think Viking parents were just being metal for the fun of it, but there was serious thinking behind those gory lullabies. Vikings believed that life was tough, and kids needed to learn that early. These stories weren't just entertainment. They were training wheels for reality. When your kid might grow up to face real raiders or survive harsh winters, sugar-coating bedtime stories seemed pointless. The songs taught them that fear was normal, but courage meant facing that fear head-on. Plus, these stories connected kids to their family's history and values. Every tale of revenge taught honor, every battle showed bravery, and every monster-slaying adventure proved that even the scariest problems could be overcome. It was like an ancient version of exposure therapy, with added dragons. Let's talk about one of the wildest Viking lullabies ever, the Grotta song. This isn't your average sleepy time tune. It follows 2 giant slave women, Fenja and Menja, who are forced to work a magical mill that grinds out gold, peace, and happiness. Sounds nice, right? Well, their greedy king Frodi refuses to let them rest, even for a moment. Big mistake. The exhausted giants snap and switch the mill's settings from happiness to massive army of doom. They grind out a hostile fleet that attacks the kingdom, while singing about their revenge. The whole thing ends with them sinking into the sea, taking the magical mill with them. Viking parents use this as a bedtime story. The message? Don't be a jerk, boss, or your workers might summon a revenge army and destroy everything you love. Here's the wild thing. Viking kids absolutely loved these hardcore lullabies. Modern parents might worry about nightmares, but these little Norse warriors couldn't get enough of the blood and guts. Think about it. Kids today go crazy for dinosaurs and superheroes, right? Same energy. Viking children saw these songs as thrilling adventures where good triumphed over evil, usually with an axe. The stories made them feel brave and connected to their warrior culture. They'd beg for one more tale about Odin's adventures or Thor's latest giant-smashing escapade. Some kids even acted out their favorite brutal ballads during playtime, sword fights included. It was like having a front-row seat to the most epic bedtime theater ever. These Viking bedtime stories worked like ancient parenting hacks. Each bloody tale packed serious life wisdom. Take the story of Sigurd the Dragon Slayer. Yeah, it's got a guy stabbing a dragon, but it's really teaching kids about outsmarting problems bigger than themselves. Or the one about Thor fishing for the world's serpent. Epic fail on catching the monster, but what a lesson about knowing your limits. These songs showed kids that actions have consequences, usually involving lots of revenge, that being clever beats being strongest, and that sometimes survival means knowing when to back down. Even the goriest bits served a purpose. They prepared kids for a world that wasn't always sunshine and rainbows. Imagine growing up in a world where your bedtime stories doubled as survival guides. That's exactly what Viking kids experienced. These songs weren't just entertainment, they were training for life's real challenges. The lyrics taught kids how to read people's intentions, spot potential threats, and most importantly, trust their gut feelings. A favorite tale warned about a trader who seemed friendly but planned to raid the village, teaching kids that sometimes a smile hides danger. These stories also helped children understand complex battle strategies and social codes. By age 5, most Viking kids could recite dozens of these tactical life lessons, complete with sound effects and dramatic gestures. Here's a mind-bending twist. Modern psychologists say those Viking parents might have been onto something. Studies show that scary stories can actually help kids develop emotional resilience. When children face fears in a safe, controlled way, like through a parent's voice singing about warriors and dragons, they learn to process difficult emotions. It's like emotional weightlifting for their developing brains. Research from child development experts suggests that sheltering kids from all scary content might leave them less prepared for real-world challenges. Those Viking parents were basically running an ancient version of exposure therapy, helping their kids build psychological muscles through stories. Pretty smart for people we usually just think of as helmet-wearing boat enthusiasts. Ready for the greatest hits of Viking baby metal? Let's rank the top 3 murder ballads that survived the centuries. Number 3, Gríla's Feast, a lovely tune about a giant troll woman who eats misbehaving children. Coming in at number 2, The Wolves' Song, where Odin's wolves chase down the sun and moon. Metal AF. And the champion of Viking lullabies, The Mill of Peace, where 2 giant slaves grind their master's bones into gold while singing about sweet, sweet revenge. These songs seriously rocked, literally. Parents would drum on their shields while singing, adding a killer beat to the whole bloody performance. Modern metal bands could learn a thing or two from these Viking chart toppers. Here's something wild. Those Viking lullabies shaped pretty much everything we know about Norse myths today. Think about it. Before writing became common, parents singing these songs were like living libraries. Every time a mum or dad belted out a tune about Thor's latest adventure, they kept those stories alive. The coolest part? Each generation added their own spin. Maybe a dad would make the giant's voice extra scary, or a mum would throw in some local landmarks to make the tale more relatable. These bedtime performances created this amazing feedback loop between myth and daily life. The stories changed as they traveled from cradle to cradle, village to village, adding new layers like a snowball rolling downhill. Let's get real. Modern parenting can sometimes feel like we're packaging kids in emotional bubble wrap. But those Viking parents? They had a totally different game plan. Sure, singing about blood and revenge might seem extreme, but they understood something crucial. Kids are way tougher than we give them credit for. Their bedtime stories taught resilience, not fear. Think about it. While we're busy sanitizing every little bump in our kids' emotional road, Viking children learned to process scary stuff in a safe way. They didn't need trigger warnings or gentle euphemisms. They got straight talk about life's challenges, wrapped in epic tales that made them feel powerful instead of powerless. Maybe we could use a splash of that Viking confidence in our modern parenting toolbox. Thanks for joining me on this wild ride through Viking bedtime stories. If you loved learning about these metal lullabies, smash that like button like Thor's hammer. Subscribe for more history that rocks, and share with your favorite metalhead parent.